Hello, this is Alicia Sam and you're watching HW News. It's the 100th day since Russia unleashed war on Ukraine. 100th day since lakh of Ukrainians lost their homes, lost their children, mothers, fathers, brothers, friends and loved ones. 100th day since many fled their motherland. 100th day since many joined behind and joined country's military to fight against Russia's soldiers, despite knowing the chances of winning against mammoth military strength of Russia might be minuscule. On February 24, Russia launched a war on Ukraine, claiming to free two rebellious regions of Donbass and Donetsk. In the last 100 days, the war has snowballed into one of the biggest humanitarian and economic crises the world has seen. Nobody really knows how many combatants or civilians have died, and claims of casualties by government officials who may sometimes be exaggerating or lowballing their figures are all but impossible to verify. But beyond the two countries, the war has also impacted the world at large. Against an already turbulent backdrop of global inflationary pressure amid rising food and energy prices and disrupted supply chain following the coronavirus pandemic, the war between Russia and Ukraine is exacerbating supply and demand tensions, damaging consumer sentiment, and is threatening global economic growth. Outside of Eastern Europe, the heat of conflict has caused a slew of problems for other countries, including India. Let's talk about how India has struggled in the last 100 days as a result of this war. The food inflation. The war has also resulted in disrupting India's edible oil market, as the country imports more than 90% of its sunflower oil from Russia and Ukraine combined. India has been producing surplus wheat and rice. Procurement at minimum support prices has been resulted in bulging central pool stocks. The buffer norm for January 1 is 7.6 million tons of rice and 13.8 million tons of wheat. Against this, the central pool had 22.4 million tons of rice and 33 million tons of wheat. Now, the foreign portfolio investment. To begin with, when it comes to India, foreign portfolios investors withdrew 1 lakh crore rupees from the Indian market just 3 months after the war began, when just 50,000 crore rupees had been withdrawn in the previous 9 months. Inflation has caused a monetary crisis in our all rising markets around the world, including India. Following with the falling rupee. The rupee has also fallen to new lows versus the dollar as a result of the war. According to the IMF, the rupee achieved a record of 77.7 against the dollar on May 31, up from 74.6 on February 23. On the other hand, the price of crude oil rose from $80 per barrel at the start of 2022 to $128 per barrel following the Russian strike. Talking about the mass migration in Ukraine. The Russian invasion of the Ukraine has resulted in the immigration of 6.8 million individuals, or nearly 15% of the country's population. That is, 1 in every 6 Ukrainians has been forced to flee their homeland. According to the UNHRC report, around 3.6 million of these 6.8 million individuals have arrived in Poland, increasing the country's population by 10%. Ukraine's population has decreased from 43 million in 2021 to 37 million today. In Ukraine, on the other hand, 8 million people have been internally displaced, resulting in massive humanitarian disaster. The situation is so grave that every second a child in Ukraine becomes a war refugee. Now, talking about the sanction on Russia's. Western countries are continually tightening the noose on sanctions in order to encircle Russia. Since the commencement of the war, Russia has been subjected to 5,831 sanctions, according to media sources. The United States had imposed the most sanctions, that is 1,144. Aside from that, more than 4,800 Russian citizens have been barred, as well as 562 institutions and 458 businesses. Since 2014, a total of 10,159 sanctions have been imposed on Russia. Now, frankly speaking, when the war started, nobody thought that it will last this long. Many thought that Ukraine will succumb to the Russia's military might, but contrary to that, Ukraine has put up a spirited fight. But as long as this war continues, world including India will pay the price for it.